Hey everybody, welcome to a super quick, we're doing it live, quote unquote, installment of Split Second. My name is Julio. As you know, I am fond of watches, and we got something a little bit different for you today. We're doing a Zoom call with Rich from Risk Check Monthly. Now, Rich has been on board with Risk Check Monthly for a couple months now. Previously, it was Sean with a different partner. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. We're going to be talking a little bit about Risk Check Monthly, and we're going to go ahead and actually do the draw for the 100 subscriber giveaway. And just before we dive into it, Rich, I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank Sean and you guys over there at Risk Check Monthly, because 100 subscribers is something that when I started my channel, I had no expectations about. I was just a dork talking about watches. I don't know that much about watches compared, to a bunch of other people in the community. And, the fact that you guys decided to throw your support behind me, it really means a ton.
No
So,
worries. I mean, this is how it starts, isn't it, right? The
yeah,
addiction.
yeah. So I'd like to thank you guys, because honestly, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish 100 subscribers without you, literally without you, because you were like the 100th subscriber.
We had to get you over the line, man.
Yeah, so thanks a ton. Really, really, really appreciate it. So I want to give you a chance to maybe talk a little bit about Risk Check Monthly, what you guys are doing, what you guys have done in the past. You had the Click Sergeant charity, and I know that you have other charities that are kind of in the works here. So I want to give you a chance to talk about that a little bit.
Awesome. Okay, thanks. So, Wrist Check Monthly, we're a watch of the month club primarily. We also have an online store where we sort of sell our different brands that we have partnerships with. We focus, unlike some of the other clubs out there, we focus primarily on microbrands and independents as well. There's a bit of a gray area there. But fundamentally, we are looking to bring the world of microbrands to as large an audience as possible, and really just kind of shout out to the community that supports all this. Um, we hand select each of the different tiers. So we run 3 tiers currently. Our introductory tier at £99 a go. Next level up, kind of our mid-level tier, silver tier, at £199, and our top level tier, gold tier, which runs at £299 a month. There's no forced resubscription each month. So that's one of the critical things for us. The control is in the hands of the customer. How often they want to resubscribe. Maybe their finances don't allow them to do it every single month like some other clubs do. They have the control to spend how they wish to. And we obviously back them as much as possible in terms of getting the best value watch for what they're paying in their subscription. And then once we're done, we obviously have the release and they go onto our site and they become more generally available to customers who maybe had a bit of miss out on that previous month's subscription. So it's been fun. We've been running for a little over a year now, probably like 18 months probably in total. We've had our ups and downs in that time frame. And before I came on board to partner up with Sean on this little venture, he had his own other partner engaged who, let's say, had his own issues. That's now in the past, and we're kind of sort of moving on from that stage, and we are regrowing the club. So 2021 is our relaunch year. We've started off strongly. We've got some amazing brands lined up already. We are literally queuing up months in advance for each one of the tiers. So we know fairly well in advance what we're likely to be using. And we've got some amazing brands who are sort of stepping forward and asking to be part of this little club. So it's really such a super cool little community that we're building here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. I know that behind the scenes, sometimes it's kind of not so much a struggle, but it's kind of like any business, really. It's like things change at the drop of a hat, and sometimes something you have lined up months in advance might go south at the worst possible moment. So it's glad to hear that you guys have some companies that are kind of talking, like knocking at your door to see about taking part of what you guys are doing. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's cool because it's one of those things. A great company like this, or a great subscription like this, is made by the quality of the watches that we manage to pull together and get out to the clients, but just as much as it is having a strong, stable client base. We've got some amazing members who have literally been with us from the get-go. They support us month after month without fail. And some of our guys, they help support us on the Facebook groups as moderators. They are willing to be kind of little guinea pigs for us in terms of testing out new ideas and new ways that we could bring different services to market. So we've got a few extra things waiting in the wings, which over the course of the coming months, we're going to be bringing out to market, and start sort of really changing the game here a little piece. We want to be not just a watch subscription club. We want to bring a different portfolio of services that really help the community build together, for collectors to really grow their collection in a way that they can control, but also introduces them to brands they would never have heard of or even thought about even reaching out to. So that's kind of been, one of the really cool things to see, people suddenly receiving something in the mail and going, dang, I never even thought about this, or I've never considered this colorway or this movement type or this design, or maybe we'll somehow make square watches cool this year. All sorts of fun stuff is going to come this year.
Yeah, and that's really one of the more fun things about having that kind of watch of the month club type model is, exactly what you said. People learn about brands that they may have otherwise never heard of before, and especially in the niche that you guys are focused in, which is the micro brands, as you mentioned at the beginning of the call, right? And it's so funny because I hear a lot of people talk about, oh well, that brand is not a micro brand. I don't consider that a micro brand. What do you think is, and I know it's kind of a fluid term, but I kind of want to get your opinion. What do you think is what makes a micro brand a micro brand?
So from my perspective, a microbrand is an entrepreneur at heart. They are an individual or a couple of folks who are working together to build themselves a watch. Now, these are folks who are not going to be going out there and building tens of thousands of the same model. You're probably talking a few hundred maximum. Most people will bring either a pre-sale or a Kickstarter campaign to market. They maybe do one or two models in their line, and that's about it. And they'll grow their collection over time, but they're not about, competing with the likes of an Omega or a Rolex. It's really about their design. And a lot of the folks, and this is something I've learned over the time I've interacted with a lot of these brands, most of the individuals, they're designers. They aren't necessarily hard watch geeks. They want their designs for the way they envisage sort of art almost to be relayed upon the context of a watch, and then have some solid engineering backing it up. I mean, you can see that with some of the micros that are out in the market and in sort of the Kickstarter scene at the minute. There are some incredible new designs coming out, but likewise, you can see the passion that they have behind it. They don't want to just reinvent the same wheel over and over. They really are looking at how they can tweak and innovate, how they can bring different materials in. There's guys like Carl Schut who brings such a variety of different dial materials that most people wouldn't turn their hand to in any way, shape, or form. You wouldn't catch a big brand using them because they're too fragile, they're too difficult to get hold of, they're difficult to work with, and in high volume, the failure rate is just too high. So a microbrand for me is somebody who's willing to innovate, produces things on a relatively small scale. They don't own a factory or have that sort of power or might behind them, but they may have partnerships with them who can help produce some of the stock things like a case that they have the designs for that they need producing in CNCs or lathes or even additive manufacturing. Most people aren't going to have that tucked away in the garage someplace, so they're going to need partnerships with that sort of arrangement. when you're stepping into the gray area, you start looking at, well, do these guys have the backing of a big manufacturing factory arrangement? And then they're probably veering away from a true sort of microbrand spirit. But yeah, as you said, it's a very fluid term. There's the Microbrand Watch database, which does a pretty good job of keeping a track of what would be considered or not a microbrand. And I think most people tend to agree with its definitions. But yeah, there are some groups out there who are pretty ardent over what classifies as a micro or not. Yeah, we steer clear of that as far as possible. We have great partnerships with folks that we know are not producing hundreds of thousands of these things, and are really looking to serve their community and not compete on a world stage per se.
Yeah, and one thing that you did mention just a little bit ago is the design aspect. And really that's what's attracting me most to the microbrands, because honestly, a lot of microbrands are powered by pretty common movements like your NH35s or your Miyota 8 or 9000s, right? And from a movement perspective, there's really nothing really new under the sun in that aspect in terms of what movements they choose in order to keep costs down, really. So they bring in these exotic materials, these meteorite dials, my goodness. And I've seen blue meteorite and heat treated meteorite, and Kyle, who you mentioned earlier, doing the mosaic dials, and just all these different things that are just so pleasing to the eye, right? And that's really one of the things that's attracting me more than anything else to micros in particular, other than the fact that, yeah, sure, a Rolex will cost you 8 or 9 grand or 10 grand, but they're mass produced to a degree, right? I know that when I wear a microbrand on my wrist, it's very unlikely I'm going to run into someone else on the street that has that.
This is it. This is one of the things. I mean, they are, conversation starters. Should the world return to normal and we can all mingle and show these timepieces off outside of wrist checks online, you're absolutely going to get noticed with like, wow, what is that you're wearing today? I mean, you're going to get some out there designs. So we all know those brands that have pretty out there designs, but you've got some really, really quality stuff that, as you say, a Rolex is a Rolex is a Rolex. I'm not a major fan, to be honest, of those sort of brands. They are huge factory built. Yes, the movements are super high caliber, nicely regulated. Often they've been, very sort of ornamentally engraved or gold plated or whatever. Cool. Okay, if that's your gig, go buy yourself a Rolex. I look at the overall.
If you can get on a waiting list.
Exactly. You can go and have a chat with Jared over at the 220 Watch Company, and he's got a stack of them of super cool, like the William Walker, that copper and bronze combo with the dial on that, the enamel dial. My gosh, you're not going to see that out of a typical brand. That's just not the way they go about this.
It's too much of a risk for them, I think.
Yeah, exactly. The whole bronze movement that sort of swept through the last sort of 3-4 months or so is really taking shape. But people have shied away from it for the longest time because of the patina and does it leave a green mark on your wrist and all that sort of stuff. If you're a watch lover, you don't care. It's all about the material combination and the design aspect of it. All of the other stuff you can fix. There are ways to make that problem go away.
Yep. So shifting gears a little bit, and I think we'll finish the mini interview with this last question, right? And move on to the spin. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about the charity work you guys have done. Last month you raised, what was it, 1,700 pounds for Click Sergeant?
Exactly. So we're a big advocate of giving back to the community, and not just the watch community, but the communities all around us. So we look to run each quarter a donations-based lottery where we'll have either a huge giveaway. One of the ones we ran last year was effectively for providing care and attention and vacation for war heroes who would otherwise be in homes and not necessarily being looked after fully, but their needs are cared for, but they don't have that experience now. They're just kind of day in, day out. It's the same thing. We raised like £2,300 odd for that event. And then this time around, as you said, Click Sergeant is a cancer charity that supports the families for those who have kids who are going through cancer treatments or issues at that point in time. And it gives them housing, it gives them respite care, and allows them to be near where their kids are going through treatment, because oftentimes the treatment centres are not where they're based. They're in sort of big central locations like London or wherever. So we did £1,700 there. And in that case, we had 5 watches that we gave away to 5 individuals, and then we had a couple of bonuses thrown in at the end. Such is the generosity of this community, again, that we are really experiencing from all of our folks that we work with, all the partners we work with. They are happy to donate to the causes. Obviously, it gives them better brand awareness, but I mean, they believe in a lot of these charities. We're going to be running a new charity lotto for Q2 of this year. We haven't specifically chosen yet which one it's going to be, but to give some donations to an alternative setup, we're going to go over the pond over into the US side and work with our partners over that way to find a worthy charity to support there this time. So be on the eye out for that one. We'll announce that soon enough once we've got all the bits and pieces together. And of course, we'll be looking for brands to come step forward for donations. I think we've already got some who've been willing to donate from the previous one without even knowing that we're going to run this again. So it's a very important part of what we do. And we'll start publishing a little bit more details on our website regarding how much we're getting, the sort of targets we want to aim for, because it's important. We have to be supporting these and not just be a typical enterprise taking the cash. We've got to be supporting the charities out there, giving back to the community.
So Rich, are you ready to give away a watch?
Yes, sir, I am. Always.
All right. Always. I love it. So we're going to be giving away a subscription to April, the Silver Check, right? And Silver Check is valued at £199. Really important. And before we spin the wheel, I just want to remind everybody, you are still in time. I'm going to be releasing this today. We're recording April 6th. So as of the time of recording and the release of this video, everybody, you have 4 days to get on that subscription for the month of April. They will be shipped out by the 25th, correct?
Exactly. We start shipping on the 25th, so giving us time to get all of the watches in from the different parts of the world we source them from.
And one lucky winner is going to go ahead and actually get a Silver Check, which we're gonna go ahead and get in touch with that person so that we can put their name and their information into the Risk Check monthly database for the month of April. All right. So
awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick. I got a wheel with the names of everybody who commented on the giveaway video. All right. So let me go ahead and give it a spin here. And whatever name it lands on. Daniel Blanchfield is our winner.
Awesome. Congratulations, Daniel. He's well known to us. He's a great friend of the community and a great customer to WCM. So awesome.
I am really happy to see that name pop up there too. Daniel's a great guy. All right. So I would like to thank you, Rich, for taking the time, right, to join me today. And to everyone out there, stay safe, mask up, and remember, be kind to each other because life can change in a split second.